we're going for the Cheltenham street race, which come 2015-2016 will be a full performance motorsport street race. So what we're doing this year has been a real positioning event. As you know from everything around us, we're doing everything to do with low carbon, electric, biofuels, hydrogen. There's an awful lot that people don't understand around that, let alone conduct a street race around it. So we realised fairly early on in the process we needed to open this on a relatively low-key level in street racing terms, with an event that people could come and they could engage with, they could meet the people.
The town mayor, Councillor Colin Hay, is a keen motorcyclist, and the event organisers introduced him to the latest in electric two-wheel technology so that he could check out the proposed course for the street race around Cheltenham.
It'd be great. I'd love to see a street race. I mean, that would really attract people. There is nothing like this, and there wouldn't be anything like a kind of an eco motorsport race. And I think for Cheltenham to host it in the streets, what better place? Everybody needs to build the momentum to get electric cars, low carbon cars, you know, and by building interest, then people begin to understand that actually a lot of the worries that they have aren't there now, and the technology is moving so quickly, so fast, and these bikes are just brilliant.
The new form of motor racing that I'm talking about really isn't a sort of electric car racing against a Formula 1 car or an electric version of a Le Mans car. I think we have to think really about a new form of motor racing. And this is Cheltenham, so also the race is in a town, which means for the local businesses, the bars, the hotels, the shops, they can look straight out onto a motor race and they can have people in there, in their shops, watching a motor race. That is part of the spectacle. And I think that's really the way we should think in terms of electric car racing. It should be a new form of motor racing.
You wouldn't be able to do a conventionally fueled car race in the middle of the spa town of Cheltenham. It just wouldn't be acceptable because of the noise mainly, and the fumes and the disruption. But a small electric car race around the streets of Cheltenham is the dream, because there would be very little noise. It's only a very limited circuit around the centre of the town, and it would obviously attract a lot of attention. A lot of people would come and see what was going on and see if these things really work, and they would be impressed because they do really work. They can go very fast. They go very fast relatively quietly in comparison with Formula 1 cars or something like that. So it's a bonkers idea essentially, but it's a very exciting idea, and it's part of a sort of movement of people who've used electric vehicles, that understand how they work, that understand the difference they make to the world we live in, that would spread that word a little bit wider and create some interest and excitement.
That's Robert Llewellyn of Red Dwarf fame, driving around the course with rising British motor racing star Alex Sims, who's a fan of environmentally friendly transport. So can Alex see a time when electric cars would take over the racetrack?
I don't know, to be quite honest. I think a lot of fans love Formula 1 because it's noisy and it gives you a buzz, and I can't deny that. Personally, I love watching a Formula 1 car go around, but we'll have to see what other things we can bring up for motorsport, because for a long race, an electric vehicle at the moment is probably not where it needs to be. But yeah, with technology in the future, with hydrogen or different battery technology, we may well be able to get there.
We have two clear formats in the development process. One is a regulated street race where there'll be a number of classifications in low carbon measurement. So you could be talking about energy used on the circuit, you could be talking about kinetic energy recovery systems, you could be talking about tailpipe emissions. Up to a certain weight, we'll see a grid of vehicles where they'll go off and it'll be first past the post, but those measurements will be taken. The regulated race won't have the grid of cars, it won't be allowed to be performance motorsports based, it will simply do the circuit within the speed limit and we'll take those measurements, and in each classification that we're measuring you'll have a winner.
Long term, the plan is for this to become a major competitive motor racing event with a difference, one where speed and low fuel consumption go hand in hand, the world's first low carbon street race.
When motorsports proper comes in, ideally in 2015, we take the lid off the speed limit, and that's what the automotives and motorsports people got really excited about, because what you ultimately do is prove that if you drive an electric car very slowly, you win the energy race. Now that's great, and in the developmental period you get lots of data out of that and it's very good, but in terms of building cars and the automotive industry for the future, that's not really a great message. So how do you use not much energy and still go fast? that's it. That's what creates the tension, and that's what makes this a little bit special.
During the course of the weekend, thousands of people came to see the latest in zero-emission technology on display, and many may have been surprised to learn how quickly the landscape is beginning to change in motorcycle racing.
The first electric bike race started in 2009 at the Isle of Man TT, and then 2010 there was a dedicated British Electric Bike Championship, and there was also one in the States, and they then came together with the European Championship for a kind of a World Electric Bike series. And that's gone from strength to strength, and we'll be competing in that as a way of proving our design and our sort of chassis and electronic innovation with our electric bike. From our background doing British superbikes, etc., we've learned quite a lot about chassis design, chassis setup, and we realised that nobody at the moment is doing an electric bike that really benefits or the electric power delivery. All they're really doing is taking a traditional bike and making it electric powered. So if you imagine driving an electric car, you're looking at 2 seats, 4 seats, four wheels. The power delivery, powertrain is less important. And on a bike, if you look at any bike, the biggest issue is really the design around getting the engine in the middle. And suddenly we've taken that engine away, so we've got a lot more scope when we started with a clean sheet of paper to be able to come up with something interesting, and we actually believe that the performance characteristics of an electric bike, pound for pound, you're going to get greater performance out of an electric vehicle than you will out of a petrol one. So we're putting it together to really sort of prove some of our ideas in that area.
One of the stars of the Expo was the B1269 EV, an electric-powered prototype racing car developed by businessman and groundbreaking racing driver Lord Paul Drayson and his Drayson Racing Technologies team.
It's based on an LMP1 carbon fibre monocoque. It's competed at Le Mans and the American Le Mans series in the past with a Judd V10. And just over 12 months ago we started work on developing this full electric drivetrain. So this is our main battery here. It's a 700 volt system. We've got 4 Yasa 750 motors here stacked across the rear, which are designed and built in Oxford. Down the central spine we have a pair of drop gears, so we've got independent control of the rear wheels, so we can benefit from torque vectoring. We have Multimatic regenerative dampers on the car here, so we can, as they're working, as the car's going around the circuit, it's pumping energy back into the system. We have a active aerodynamic system on the car, so the rear wing here, this main flap lifts up, that flap drops, and the dive planes at the front there retract, so reduces drag by about 30 to 35% down the straight.
As we head towards the low-carbon era, both on the road and potentially on the racetrack, the key challenge for engineers and designers is to develop and explore new technologies which not only deliver the required environmental benefits, but which also tick the right boxes in terms of practicality and performance. And there was certainly plenty of promising development on display at the Expo. Right to present his own show about renewable energy and the future of energy consumption, so he was well placed to pass on his knowledge on the subject to visitors. He also chaired and spoke at several discussions over the 2-day event, and one session provided a debate on the current development of electric, biofuel and hydrogen cars. We got some insight from 2 experts who are heavily involved in the electric and hydrogen options, but first they explored one another's worlds by taking each other for a spin in their respective cars.
The similarities are what impresses rather than all the differences, and we're part of the solution to a similar problem, just slightly different angles towards it, and both are viable. I think that's the real key to recognise. We don't think there's a single all-pervading solution to what we're trying to achieve at the moment. So the 2 technologies achieve very similar things in slightly different ways, but it's just so great and rewarding to be part of something which is moving the whole agenda forward.
I agree completely, and it's just such an exciting time for the entire vehicle industry. The fact that we're now, I would say, very much at the dawn of the second era of the car and truck industry. The first era being, of course, about burning fossil fuels, petrol and diesel, and now we're at the dawn of the second era, which is a very, very big change, but a very exciting change and a necessary transition for our society and for our use of energy and our protection of the environment.
The next 20 years are going to be, so interesting, so diverse. There are no obvious single technology solutions. That the whole range, the whole agenda of solutions is going to be magnificent.
We are at this transition period. There is already now, at least, good technology on the road, and so we're very pleased. Well, thank you for joining me today.
It's a great
and
pleasure.
thanks for letting me go in the.
Likewise.
Really enjoyed that.
An event like this is very, very important to try and showcase the technology. There's a lot of public perception of kind of the stigmas of sort of the Sinclair C5 type technology with electric vehicles. Obviously very, very old technology, and it's moved on so far since then, particularly the battery technologies, the charging technologies, the actual performance that can be gained from electric vehicles. And in many ways it now surpasses that of a petrol vehicle, with obviously the green element of not throwing CO2 out your exhaust as well. So I think that's a good way forward, and it's been a very important event to kind of showcase that in a public place. And obviously Cheltenham, lots and lots of people around to be able to see that.
I think events like this are really important for engaging with the broader general public from both directions, really, to take questions but also to show the state of the art of the technologies, how things are developing at the moment. And as I say, the sheer breadth of vehicles that are here this weekend, I think, is a great illustration of that. And it's great. It's a fantastic opportunity to debunk some of the myths that surround electric vehicles.
We've had this paddock that we're in now. I think we've had just shy of 10,000 people through over the weekend. They've been strolling up and down. The public, there's the milk float mentality as we've come to know it. You talk about an electric vehicle, people think a milk float going very slowly. It's all totally predictable. Vehicles like Lord Drayson's B12 beside us here, I've been aware of those because of the dialogue I've been in for the last couple of years and some of the exciting technology here. But then I'm privileged to have been in the middle of the discussions and the development side, and I can see it. So what we needed to do was get it here, get the public looking at it, and the public have been blown away by the fact that this isn't a big line of milk floats. Far from it. It's a big line of very exciting vehicles from low carbon technology.